everybody, Jarrett with Jarrett Rushing Fishing, and as you can see, I'm back in my truck again. Y'all get some of the best thinking done in my truck. Y'all just dropped off my boat, so that's right, I've got a boat again. I'm excited. I'm getting some work done to it, graphs, some electrical stuff done. Man, I'm really excited. Huge shout out to Spencer's Marine and Beast Fishing Innovations for the work that they've done, and Sea Arc Boats. Man, I couldn't be more excited to represent all three of those companies this coming year. So y'all do me a favor, go out and like them on Facebook. But y'all, as you can see from the title of this particular video, it's a little strange. It's called the Gas Station Chronicles. That's right, the Gas Station Chronicles. So I've got to give credit where credit is due. A couple days ago, I saw Brandon Polinick post on his social media page a picture of his boat and his truck at a gas station, and with the caption something to the effect of, "Gotta love those early morning gas station stops." Now, as outdoorsmen, we have all had to make those early gas station stops before daylight, and one thing about those stops is you never know who or what you're going to see. You can see some of the most outlandish people, some of the most flamboyant people. You can see some of the craziest things at that time of the day at a gas station than you've ever seen before. So I want to tell you 3 stories that I have actually dealt with personally, going from funny to sketchy, and hopefully just bring a little bit of light on what we have to deal with. Because I don't know what it is, but even as an outdoorsman, the moment that you hook up a boat to your truck and you stop off at a gas station, that is like an open invitation for the most outrageous people to come and speak to you. I typically don't mind speaking to anybody, but for whatever reason, at 3 in the morning at a gas station, if you have a boat hooked up to your truck, you're inviting conversation from anybody and everybody, and that includes the folks that make you go, ugh. So before we get started, make sure that you subscribe to this channel, like this channel, like this video for that matter. Do me a favor, drop a comment. Tell me what your most outrageous gas station story prior to daylight is, and keep it clean. I know that we all have that holy moly moment, but for this particular video, do me a favor, keep it clean. So let's start out with the funniest one. So last year I was fishing the TBF championship, or the regional semifinals, at Lake Millwood. Now, I have to stop at a gas station that morning. I was actually doing a practice run, and whenever I did, I had to stop at a rural town in South Arkansas. That's just what is between where I live and Lake Millwood. Pull in, I get my fuel, get my snacks, get my ice, everything is going great until I leave. Now, whenever I leave, I look up and there's a curve where I need to jump, so I roll down my window and I'm making sure that the tires get over the curve all right. And one thing about this particular gas station is if you decide that you want to leave from there, if you turn around, then you can get back out on the main highway, or you can go just a little bit farther down, take a city block, and come back out on the main highway without having to turn around. So this particular morning, I chose to take the city block. I have my window rolled down, I get over the curb, I'm on a little back road street there, and at 3 a.m. in the morning, I hear at the top of his lungs a gentleman yell, "Hey Hollywood, it must be nice." And I turn and look, and he is staring directly at me. Now let me paint a picture for you. This gentleman is in no shirt, wearing a pair of cartoon pajamas, smoking a cigarette on a pallet porch. Now, not a porch made of pallets, but a bunch of stacked pallets in front of his doorstep. This house looks abandoned. I swear I did not see any lights. It looked like the windows were busted out, but this gentleman is out on this porch smoking a cigarette at 3 in the morning. Now me, I'm usually really witty and fast on my feet, but this particular instance, all I could yell back at the top of my lung, "It sure is." Yeah, that's all I had. So evidently in South Arkansas, if you were hooked to a boat, and not even an outlandish boat, a $70,000 power poles, graphs, etc. boat, but a 19-foot with a 150 on the back of it, you're considered Hollywood royalty. You must be in the movies. So that's one of the funny stories. Something that happened, wasn't necessarily at a gas station, but it was while I was leaving a gas station. Which brings me to my second one, and again, this one gets a little bit more sketchy, but still kind of funny. 2 years ago, I was fishing a BFL event on Lake Hamilton. And again, I'm not naming towns. I'm not gonna call towns out by their name because I don't want people to think that, you know, things are weird or people are weird or whatever. But went to this particular town really close to Lake Hamilton. I'm getting gas. So what I have to do is I want to stop and go into this gas station, prepay, get all my snacks and everything, then come out, pump my fuel, and then leave. Well, as I'm walking up to the gas station, I realize that there is a fella that is crouched in a weird, I don't even know what position to say he was in, but he was in a very weird position, hunkered down between the trash can and the ice machine, which is weird because it was February. You know, I figure an ice machine would be the farthest place, or the ice cooler, that is, would be the farthest place that you want to be in February. But this guy was hanging out next to the ice cooler. So I go in, I pay for everything, I walk back out, and it hits me after I buy ice. Dang it, I've got to go to the ice cooler and get a bag of ice for this guy hanging out there. And it never fails. I walk over and he looks up at me. I guess he could feel my presence, and I do the whole, you know, give him a nod. You know, universal, hey, how's it going? What's up? Hey, I'm just acknowledging that I am right here. But that's what I did, just a little quick nod. I grab my ice and I turn around, and of course I hear rustling going on. And I do this kind of cock back look thing just to make sure that there's nothing crazy going to happen. And sure enough, this gentleman has stood up from his troll position and is now looking at me. So I go to the boat, I put the snacks in the ice chest, put it, you know, the ice in the ice chest. I go around the boat and start fueling up, and I look up, and here comes this guy making a beeline directly for me. All I can think is, oh boy, here we go. Well, most people, whenever they approach you from a boat, if you're on one side fueling, they'll stop on the other side, put their arms on your boat, lean on it or whatever to talk to you. It's not, you know, good manners to do that, but it happens anyways. This guy had no idea, because he walks around the motor and comes up to me while I'm pumping fuel and gets in my bubble. Now, I am not a germaphobe. I'm not one of those guys that's going to push folks away, say, hey, you're too close to me. But this guy got really, really close. And he asked me for money. He says, do you have any money? Without even saying a word, he looks at me and says, because I need to catch a bus to go visit my sick grandma in St. Louis, Missouri. Which I thought was awful, awful, awful specific. But hey, I'm not here to judge. Now, normally I just carry a card on me, but this particular day I had a little bit of money in my cup holder. I had like $2. Now, I told him, I said, you know what? I do have a little bit of money, I'll hook you up. I went to my cup holder while my gas was pumping, I gave him $2. Well, at this time, he gives me the whole, thank you so much, sir, I appreciate it, bless you, all this. And then he goes on about his merry way. He goes back to his little troll corner there by the ice machine and the trash can, crouches back down, and at this time I watch him pull out an iPhone XR out of his pocket, and I'm assuming start playing Angry Birds. I don't know. He starts playing some game on an iPhone XR, and I'm just sitting there shaking my head. Not to mention, I knew that where we were at in Arkansas, there was no bus stop coming through this particular area. Now, I know a lot of y'all asked me, why'd you give him money? You knew that he's probably just gonna spend it on drugs, alcohol, whatever, but the Lord put it on my heart to give that guy the money. What he does with it afterwards is up to him. That's between him and the Lord, but I did what was called upon me, and I gave the fella some money. So, plus, it was the best $2 I ever spent to make the guy go away. The funniest part of this story was after I get done fueling, I look over at the guy, he was looking at me, we nod at one another, and about the time that I'm starting to pull off, the clerk inside of the gas station comes out and hollers at him, I thought I told you to get away from here. And the guy looked at him, and they argued for a minute, and he stood up and starts walking off, to which he looks at me, shrugs his shoulders, and says, see you later, and walks off. takes all kinds, man. Takes all kinds. But brings me to my last story. And again, I'm not going to name any towns, but I will say that this particular town rhymes with Schwerin. So I'm leaving my house going to take a charity group fishing one day. And I stop in a little town, you know, aptly named Schwerin. And I'm getting fuel in the middle of a town. This isn't kind of an outskirts fuel stop or whatever, but this is probably the most sketchy one that I've ever had to deal with. So I pull up to this gas station. I pull up to the pump. I go inside, and I'm gonna get my snacks, prepay for fuel, grab ice, and go like I normally do. I mean, that's kind of the normal thing to do. Well, I start walking inside of this gas station, and it occurs to me that there are 4 or 5 people standing in front of the clerk counter there. All of them are wearing masks. We're all wearing masks. This is during the COVID pandemic. And whenever the COVID pandemic was, you know, mask up or don't come inside, I guess. But as I walked inside, everybody is talking, and as soon as I walk through the door, everybody in this place gets quiet. Very quiet, like church mouse quiet. So I didn't say nothing. I wasn't, you know, I was a little bit kind of taken aback about that. I was confused, but I didn't say anything. I just nodded them graciously, and I looked, combed the store, and there's one gentleman on an aisle that happens to be an aisle that I'm going to go visit. Well, I lock eyes with him, he locks eyes with me. Now, I feel like I'm a pretty good read of folks, and this particular individual had very angry eyes because I couldn't see his face. He's wearing a mask, but it was very uneasy feeling. So I go to that aisle where he's standing. I walk up as close as I want to be to him, and I grab my snacks, and I go up to the counter and tell the attendant I want fuel, on pump, whatever, and I also need a bag of ice. Fuel attendant rings me up. Again, these same people are all standing around this particular the counter there and have not said a word, have not even acknowledged that I was there, kind of turned away, which I thought was very strange. Well, as soon as I get done getting everything paid for, I turn around and they have a stand-up cooler on the inside of this particular gas station, and the said individual that had the mean eyes had moved over to a stand-up sandwich refrigerator that was right next to the ice. My oh boy, here we go. So I start walking over there. I grab a bag of ice. I let the door close, and I turn to my left, and the sandwich stuff is over here on my right where he's standing. And about that time, he hollers at me, "Do we have a dirty word problem?" And I turned and looked at him, and again, I'm a pretty good read of folks, and I could see that this guy's face, and it was easy to see that he was strung out, drunk, high, something, but he was looking me dead in the eye, bloodshot red eyes, and he said, "Do we have a problem? I've seen you looking at me." To which I respond, "Look, man, I'm just here to get some snacks, fuel up, and get out of here. I ain't got no beef with anybody." And he says, "If you do it again, I will whoop your butt." And of course, it was a lot more colorful than that. Well, this is where I got stupid. So I don't know if it was pure fear or confusion, but at this particular moment, I turned and looked at the guy, and I said, "Oh yeah." Again, I've got a mask on, so all you can see is my eyes. But I looked at him, and he said, "I will whoop your butt." And I said, "Oh yeah." And his eyes got big. It was almost a mixture of shock and anger at the same time. But I looked him dead in the eye again. I said, "Look, I don't have any beef with anybody in here. I don't have any problems with anybody. I'm just trying to get my stuff and go." So I walk out. Well, by this time, my heart is just thumping up a storm, right? I get out to the gas pump. I put all my snacks in the boat. I start pumping. And again, I'm on one side of the boat, and the gas station is on the other side. I look up, and here comes this guy out of there, and he lays eyes back on me again. And I think, man, we're gonna get in a fight. I'm gonna get shot, I'm gonna get stabbed, something. But he stands there at the door for just a second, staring at me, and then he walks over and he gets into a car that was kind of parked in behind the gas station, and him and his friends, I guess there were several people in there because he didn't get in the driver's seat, they take off. And they didn't come by my boat, they went the other way. So at this point, I'm relieved. I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, thank God, you know, I come out of here unscathed. Thank the Lord. Well, then I look up, and coming out of the gas station is another gentleman that was one of the ones that got really quiet, standing there at the counter. And he walks up to the boat and he does the normal thing. He stands on one side of the boat, I'm on the other, and he leans on the boat. Well, he taps the boat. He said, man, this is a good looking rig. You know, how fast will it go? You know, gave all of that normal, you know, general boat talk. Well, I'm nervous as a cat at this point. I think I answered it go 80 miles an hour and I'm running a 150. I don't remember. But everything got done and over with. We finished. And I told him, all right, bud, I got to go. And he looks at me and he taps the boat. He says, man, I just want you to know you probably stopped something really big that was about to happen. And I said, what do you mean? He said, that guy that was in here, he's been in here a while. He said, something was about to happen. And he said, you probably stopped it. Well, I told him, I said, well, that's great. You know, I'm glad I could help. And I jumped in the truck and took off. Man, I'll tell you, I've never been so scared in all of my life. And it wasn't because of the situation. It was knowing after the fact that something that big could have come around. But this is just a quick video. I wanted to give y'all 3 general scenarios of things that has happened to me at gas stations. Of course, there are so many other funny stories. You know, we went from funny to sketchy. I've got stories of other anglers doing crazy stuff. I've got people going in and buying outlandish items. That's hilarious. You know, there's all kind of funny stories. So do me a favor, drop me a comment and tell me what your funny gas station story is, or you're serious, you know, your sketchy one, kind of like my last one. I'd love to hear them. I really appreciate y'all. Again, this is going to be the last talking video for a while. We're going to come out with some really good content now. We're going to have some more fishing videos, and I can't wait to see you all on the water. And hey, I'm excited to get 2022 started. So I appreciate all your support. Like always, y'all keep chunking.